Today marks the National Day of Action for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, a day to mourn the lives lost and seek justice. With me now to talk more about this is Pam Palmater, Indigenous Governance Chair with Toronto Metropolitan University. Pam, welcome.
Thank you.
So the national inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in 2019 made 231 calls for justice. How much or how little progress has been made 6 years later?
Very little. If you compare some of the similar recommendations to the TRC, so there was a tiny bit of overlap, like implementing the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples and things like that, that were done under TRC. The vast majority of the recommendations from the National Inquiry have not been acted on. And keeping in mind that both the UN and the Inter-American Commission said, Canada, you've admitted the findings in this report, which is historic and ongoing genocide. That requires you to do a national action plan, an urgent emergency national action plan to prevent further harm, investigate those who are missing, and address all of these things. And Canada has not. It's like the inquiry never happened.
Now, the Carney government came into power earlier this year. How is it doing on this issue so far and reconciliation in general? What would you give it, a pass or a fail?
So far, fail. And the reason why is because of C5, the major projects, the One Canadian Economy legislation, which will presume to, name a large number of projects, primarily extractive industry projects, as in the national interest. It means they get to skip over environmental and water protections and constitutionally protected Indigenous rights. But even the Indigenous women part of that. So the National Inquiry talked about this link between the extractive industry, major projects, man camps, and the increase in violence, disappearances, human trafficking, and deaths of Indigenous women. And so there should be special attention paid to the impacts to Indigenous women, and nothing. So very concerning from the Indigenous women front.
Pam, we only have a few seconds left, but what is your message for the Canadian government today?
The message is you need to take this seriously. Instead of worrying about which projects are in the national interest, you should look at the national crisis of murdered and missing and exploited and abused Indigenous women and girls and take that urgent action that the international community asked you to.
Wonderful speaking with you today, Pam. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
That is Pam Palmater, Indigenous Governance Chair with Toronto Metropolitan University.